Hi there, and thank you for tuning in. I think you'll find this episode really, really helpful. I'm talking here to Toine, one of the people I've interacted the most with from the YouTube channel, and he shares his insomnia journey. And I think what we can really learn here is how overcoming insomnia, getting better, is really a lot of work. But at the same time, his insomnia insight is don't let insomnia take over your life. And with us today, we have Toine, who I connected with via the YouTube channel. So first of all, Toine, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, no problem.
So tell me, Toine, we connected, I think about like 3 months ago. And at that point, you had tried a little bit of what's called ACT, and we'll get into that in a second. But take me like all the way back. Like, how did you start having trouble sleeping?
Okay, let me think back. I think it started in 2017. Actually, I was always a bad sleeper. I slept like at various times at night, 12:30, 1:30, whatever. But I never had any problems falling asleep. But in 2017, I think I really got sloppy with my sleep habits. So I would have, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep. And I would wake up exhausted, moody, and sometimes I would be nervous. It continued on until, let's see, early 2018.
Yeah.
When I went to see a specialist for something, and I went to the office and had my blood pressure measured, and it was a bit elevated, so it got me worried. Let's see, I was getting headaches, because of basically sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
And let's see, I went to my regular physician, told him about my headaches, and not surprisingly, my blood pressure was elevated too. But for some reason, they didn't think anything about it. I guess they see the same thing several times over. But my physician got me to take X-rays just in case it was something with me physically. They found nothing. I got a referral to a neurologist, and basically I told them about my headaches, and they ruled out migraines or anything physical. And then by myself, I realized that it's because I just wasn't getting enough sleep. I had anxiety issues just because I didn't get enough proper sleep. Let's see. So basically, I tried to go to sleep early, way earlier than my body told me that I should.
So let me just quickly interrupt there. So like, let's say before 2017, you kind of went to bed late, but you slept maybe from, let's say, 12:30 until like when?
7, something like that.
Something like that. And then when this, you started having trouble sleeping, it sounds to me as if there was not a particular trigger. It kind of just started happening, or?
Uh, like I said, I think it was just because I was sloppy with my sleep, my symptoms, the symptoms of sleep deprivation.
Mm.
Started to I really felt the symptoms of sleep aggravation,
Yeah.
like rapid heartbeat, anxiety.
And then at this point, when you started having more trouble sleeping, what was happening? Was it that, you couldn't fall asleep, or you woke up a lot, or what was happening?
I'm sorry, trouble sleeping as in um, like let's see. Before my bout of insomnia, even though I slept at various times, I did not have trouble falling asleep.
Exactly.
It's just that when I started trying to go to sleep earlier, so that I could take care of so I could, relieve my symptoms. And I thought that I could, heal myself, get my blood pressure down, get rid of my headaches by sleeping earlier.
I got it. So you had these symptoms. You realized I'm probably not getting enough sleep. Let me try to get
Exactly.
a bit a little earlier.
Yeah, and I believe that's the root of my insomnia here.
Okay. So
Basically,
so so what happened then was you went to bed earlier, but then like you couldn't fall asleep, or what happened?
exactly. circadian rhythm, I believe, was set. Told my bedtime really was probably late, according to my circadian rhythm, because I was going to sleep really past midnight, and I
Yeah.
try to sometimes. I try to go to sleep now at maybe 10 o'clock, 9:30 or something like that, and that's when I started getting frustrated with my sleep.
I see. Got it.
So basically, worries about my health started me on this path of insomnia.
Yeah. Totally get it. And then, so we're back now in like 2018. You're having insomnia, and then at some point you got hold of this the Sleep book, right, by Guy Meadows. Was that kind of the next thing that happened?
Actually, I talked to back to the neurologist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did when I realized I couldn't fall asleep. I asked the neurologist, "Hey, I can't fall asleep. I'm trying to fall asleep earlier. I'm trying to go to bed earlier." And all he did was tell me, "Okay, here's some melatonin, and take it at this time." So I tried a regimen of melatonin.
Yeah,
Obviously, that didn't help.
yeah,
So I went back to my principal physician. I basically I talked to him about my sleep problems, also my blood pressure, but he basically told me the blood pressure is probably because of my anxiety and what was it, lab coat syndrome?
oh yeah, right.
Yeah, because at home my blood pressure was normal.
Got it.
Uh, and basically my physician gave me some sleep hygiene tips, and he gave me some anxiety pills.
Yeah,
And obviously it didn't work.
got it,
It
got it.
didn't work. So,
And when you
um,
say just for other people listening here, do you remember any of the like sleep hygiene tips that I told you about?
oh yeah, yeah. Bed is for sex and sleep only. Don't do anything in bed at all. Just you know, basically don't do any work in the bedroom.
Yeah,
I guess don't drink coffee at this time, past this time.
yeah.
Stuff like that that really doesn't work for insomniacs.
Yeah, exactly. You know that now. But
Oh yeah.
let's say, and then but you try that and didn't work, obviously. And then yeah, tell us what happened after that.
Okay, so basically, believe it or not, so I'm a self-help kind of guy. So I went online and I did look for books to cure insomnia. And the first book that I picked up was this CBT book by Dr. Jacobs.
Oh, say goodnight to insomnia.
Exactly.
Ah,
Exactly.
okay.
And basically, I try to follow CBT at first. But I found that it was hard, especially the stimulus control part, where you had to get out of bed often if you did not sleep.
Yeah,
So I spent many times awake and I couldn't take it.
got it.
So,
Did you at that time also you had like you were trying to spend less time in bed and do the stimulus control, or you were mostly trying to do the stimulus control?
I think, yeah, I was doing both.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, uh, let's see. I recognized that I could not go to sleep earlier than my body told me to. So I tried to uh, stay with, preserve my regular circadian rhythm, which was going to bed after 12, I guess. And I guess that was some sort of sleep restriction that I was following.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, and I tried to follow stimulus control. Got out of bed often. It just very tiring and very frustrating for me
yeah.
because I don't think I read that part where it said that at first CBT would be very hard on you,
Got it.
and so I just couldn't take it. So I looked for an alternative online.
And just before we go there, to give us an idea, like how long was it you were kind of trying this the CBT the first time?
boy, well, it's a while back. I don't know, maybe a week.
Okay, so not that long, like maybe a week or
Uh,
2 weeks, something like that. Got it.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go on.
So I looked online. I did find Dr. Guy Meadows, who had his own version of insomnia therapy, ACT. And basically, what drew me to it was that basically you had to stay in bed.
Right.
You had to stay in bed and accept your insomnia. So I said, oh, well, okay, I can do that. So I did stay in bed for the whole night, even though I couldn't sleep.
And did you feel it was helpful at all, or not so much?
Yes, at first, yes. At first, it did. There's a lot of things about ACT that made sense to me. Basically, um, let's see. One is during the daytime, you need to alleviate your anxiety, try to deal with your anxiety, practice mindful meditation, and I do
Right.
that every day now. And that really helps me. And to this day, it helps me to get through bad days.
Excellent. Yeah.
Um, what else? Oh yes, another important thing is living your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one thing that one thing that you need to do is live your life and deal the best that you can with the symptoms of insomnia during the daytime.
Yeah.
So I still do that, even though I feel bad at many days. And let's see. Yeah, those are the two main points that still resonate with me to this day.
That's great. Yeah. I think, yeah, just on a quick side note here, yeah, one thing that I personally feel like learned a lot from the ACT or ACT is like that insomnia is a 24-hour problem. Like you often think it's just it's a sleep problem, but really it's a 24/7 problem because it affects your day so much too, right?
Exactly.
So, somewhere along there, I remember I got an email from you saying like, I've tried ACT and I think it's helped me, but you were kind of thinking of going back to CBT. So tell me about that, and also like, how did you find me?
Okay. So basically, it's gradually everything gradually led me back to CBT. Basically, let's see, I think I started ACT in late May of 2018, and I gave it time to see if I had an improvement, if I could see an improvement. And after a while, I think in late August or early September, I realized that my sleep pattern was not what I wanted to be. Basically, I had a one bad night where I would fall asleep maybe at 3 o'clock, and the
Yeah.
next day I would sleep right away because it was just basically recovery sleep,
Yeah.
and I would have this pattern would continue on and on and on, even though I expected things to get better. Stayed in bed all the time,
Yeah.
even though I couldn't sleep. So then I try to find something better. So I went on Reddit, and there is an insomnia forum.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stories about people can't sleep and all that. But there are some people who do advocate CBT, specifically sleep restriction. So unfortunately, I started going back to CBT piecemeal. First, I implemented a stricter sleep window, and I don't think that worked as well, or it didn't work as quickly as I wanted to. So let me see what else.
So you tried, for those of who are not familiar with sleep window, is like sleep window is like you kind of only allowing yourself to sleep between a certain time and another time, and it's usually a fairly narrow window. So you try that, and you didn't seem to help. So did you kind of abandon it, or you
Oh no, I kept at it. I forgot with ACT, the sleep window is fairly less restrictive. It's like
exactly.
here I adopted, I guess, a sleep window of maybe 5.5 hours,
Oh,
hoping that it would help.
yeah.
And then let's see what else. And then I corresponded with a lot of Reddit posters who did CBT and successfully cured their insomnia.
Got it.
And I got a lot of tips from them. Basically, they also pointed out that you had to do stimulus control, and yeah, so I then incorporated stimulus control. And then let's see, I kept on corresponding with them, and then finally, I think I went on YouTube and I found your channel.
Exactly. And then and that was exactly, I remember that email. And after that, to kind of like what I feel like my overall, what I remember from all the emails we've exchanged is that, slowly I feel things have gotten better, but I want to focus on the initial period where we were corresponding, because I felt you were still having this like different patterns. Like, you would sleep maybe good one night, poorly another. Then I think at some point you were like 2 or 3 better nights than a really bad one, and you were kind of adjusting the sleep window a lot. Is that pretty correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah, let's see. I think that an early pattern. Actually, I was glad that that good night, bad night pattern from that I got from ACT was being modified by CBT.
Got it.
And the early pattern was good night, and then a okay to mediocre night, and then a good night, restorative sleep, and then the fourth day would be, it's just plain bad. I couldn't sleep.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it went on and on and on. I think it lasted through December and maybe early January.
Yeah.
And I tell you, some of the wow, it was so bad that I could remember on Christmas Day I had to drive back for 3 hours, and it was the day after a bad night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I could barely stay awake.
And then what happened? So I guess we can fast forward to kind of now. I feel like in the last 6 to 8 weeks or something, like the last month, by no means you're like sleeping great every night, but I feel like things have become better, kind of on a month-to-month basis. Is that true?
Yes. I believe I've had in the last month or so, last month and a half, I had I think 2 good to decent weeks. Actually, a couple of 2 weeks of decent sleep.
Yeah. So I remember that there was kind of like a stretch of 2 weeks where you slept like reasonably well.
Yeah, at least reasonably well for me was that I was falling asleep fast, or I was getting out of bed only once and then falling asleep. Yeah, so yeah, I do definitely see improvements with CBT.
I'm so really really so happy to hear this, and I want you I want to ask you one thing. One time, yeah, there was in one. I think it was in that same email where you said like, I actually slept pretty reasonably good for 2 weeks, and you said, I think one thing that I've learned is like you can learn more from bad nights, or you learn a lot from bad nights. Can you explore that?
Yeah, basically, I think that part of the problems with my sleep is that I fear the effects, the discomforts from following a bad night.
Yeah.
The symptoms, the headaches, the chills, whatever. I guess if you experience that enough times, then you'll become numb to those effects. And then also, you experience those symptoms, makes you think back of when you were sleeping normally, and you realize that maybe the symptoms are not so unusual because in the past I felt the same symptoms even though I was sleeping normally.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not that sometimes it doesn't worry me anymore, but it's still the fear level, the anxiety level is not as strong as it used to be.
And in part because you kind of saw that even if I sleep pretty, reasonably well, I can still feel bad the following day. So it's not like 100% related to how much or how poor I sleep. Is that true to say?
Yes, yes. I mean, I could say that I could feel the same symptoms whether or not I slept well or not. It's weird because on nights I think that I slept relatively fast. I wake up the same day. I wake up the next morning, and I still feel the symptoms. So I'm wondering, is it because of a bad night, or it's just should be just expected, and it's nothing to be worried about.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I think I just have one more question for you, but I'm really thankful for you coming on because what I feel, and I think particularly in the last few weeks when I've, communicated with people on the YouTube channel, is that a lot of people really struggle in the first, 1 week, second week, and third week, and I really wanted to talk to you because I feel like you are one of those people who really struggled early on, but you have done better. So I'm hoping that other people will feel that there's hope. And I'm just going to ask you like this one thing, and you may not have an answer for this, but if you do, like, if you would like want to convey something to somebody else that is like just starting using the sleep window, bedtime restriction, CBT, stimulus control, etc. What would your advice be, or your tip, or your insight?
My insight, I guess I would say just live your life, regardless of how good or bad the night was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I got from Dr. Meadows was that he noted how his patients said that looks like your mind had you. Uh, Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot that quote, but it seems like your mind has you instead of you having control of your mind.
Yeah.
And basically, I think to reduce the effects of insomnia, you should just try to the best that you can to live your life. Um, yeah, and just
Yeah,
living your life.
even if you feel tired, you haven't slept well, just do whatever you were supposed to, what you were planning to do, just continue living your life.
Exactly. Yeah, even yeah, I still go to work. I still like to, even on a bad day, I go to work. I hang out with my coworkers. I like to talk to them. Still try to remain cheerful.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I remember that during the early days of insomnia, I try to shut myself out, try to sleep by myself, and tried all these gimmicks, and basically it didn't help at all.
Yeah.
I think my sleep slightly improved when I started going back to sleep with my wife. You know, try to be positive after a bad night.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my insight.
That's awesome. I really, yeah, again, really want to thank you, Toine, and we'll keep talking. Hopefully, things will get better and better.
Hopefully, yeah, I do appreciate all your efforts. I mean, I swear you're a godsend for anybody who suffers from this problem here.
Anytime. It's honestly, like I said this, I think maybe to you in the email or somebody else, that I love my day-to-day work, but having had this channel has been really so fulfilling. So and really warming to hear this.
Yeah, I say keep up the good work.
I will, Toine. Thanks so much again.